Good morning, everyone. We're sitting here today in the next episode of the Female Executive Video Interview Series with Connie Chan. We're all lucky to have Connie here today. Really impressive to hear where she came from. Worked in the States before joining General Electric, GE, spending 12 years. She then moved to China, where she was with British American Tobacco, moving then to Singapore with them to be general manager of Singapore. And then 3 years ago, joined Nippecraft, where she's now the CEO of the listed SGX company, as well as chair lady of the board. Today, we're quite keen to hear how you did it and what stories you can share and inspire the next generation. So number one, thinking of the next generation of the future female leaders that'll come up behind you, what do you think are some challenges they have now and that they'll be facing?
I would say it's quite similar to when I actually went through the journey myself. It's really society's pressure for you to conform. Because maybe they're not used to having women in senior roles as a leader. There's just a lot of people having a lot of opinions on who you should be, how you should behave. Are you too aggressive? Are you not aggressive enough? Should you do this? And along the way, there's just a lot of, whether it's from family, colleagues, well-meaning managers, there's just a lot of different opinions. And sometimes it could be frustrating, other times it could be confusing. I think it's how to navigate that. The way that I went through this myself is listen, learn, you have to adapt, but most importantly, you just have to do it your way. You have to understand what you have, what is your style, and then you adapt to the environment, but do it the way that works for you. Because you may not have too many exact role model out there that is, similar to you. Everyone is unique anyway. So at the end of the day, you just need to listen with an open-minded, but also understand that people may have bias as well. But ultimately, it's important to do it your way so that it works for you. And the good thing is, compared to maybe 20 years ago, there are more opportunities. So if, let's say, one company, the style really doesn't work for you, well, then just go somewhere else. Or if one team doesn't really appreciate you enough, then you could actually go and then just try out different things.
That's fantastic. What helped you build up that confidence? Clearly, someone must have inspired you or given you some guidance. Can you think of a specific woman along your journey who's helped you?
Well, the most recent one is actually Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister. I have been really, really impressed by her. She's firm and compassionate and just so authentic. And what I just talked about, do things your way and make it work for you, she's totally done that. More importantly, she delivered results.
It is. You're absolutely right. Did you imagine, you're now obviously CEO of a listed firm, did you imagine that? Was that part of the dream or the plan, or have you stumbled into this level of growth over the years?
No, not at all. It's actually the opposite. When I start in the middle of my career, I was actually very clear and adamant that I do not want to be a business leader. Because one of the things is when I observed all the managers and leaders that I admire, I'm sorry, but they just got old quite quickly after they take the job. You can practically see the gray hairs coming out, and it just didn't come across as, it's not really worth it. I would much rather focus on the more fun part of the business, which to my mind is really more marketing. Marketing, you talk about new stuff. Really, the growth phase of the business is actually a lot more exciting than the other one. But I think over time, it just gradually comes to the point that, it's really the more logical one for you to take on. And basically, actually, all my mentors and whatnot just ignore my interest and all continue to push me to general management anyway.
They saw something clearly in you. With that idea of leadership, a word we're hearing, and not just a word, but something we're all hopefully practicing, is empathy, especially with what's going on in the world these days. Why do you think this word and then the subsequent teaching of it, and a lot of executives are going through empathy
first, this is something that I'm also learning myself. And I've given it some thought. I think it's a reflection of the world that is changing right now. In the workplace, there's more diversity. So you're working around people who are different from you. If it's back in those old days and you work with people who are very homogeneous to you in values, there is really less need for empathy because everyone just have a stronger tendency to think and act the same manner. That's one piece of it. The other piece is there has been a blur about work and life these days. When I first started, I think there's much clearer extinction between work and life. And to a certain extent, you are expected to park your emotions at home. And then when you're at work, that you're just expected to deliver and execute, focus on the results and everything. And then really has been less attention paid to the human side of people, that people are still human beings, still have fears and motivation that was not even acknowledged back in those days. But these days, I think there is a much better understanding that we need to acknowledge that, and then how do we work with it? And the reason, if I'm being cynical, is that when you do that, actually, it does make better business decision and leadership and effectiveness, and that's why everyone embrace it. So, but I think it's a reflection of really the changing dynamics of the workplace. And hence you need different needs of skill set and understanding. And it happens to be more holistic, basically. So better input, better output.
Absolutely. And with that blur of work and life, as you just mentioned, one thing and a challenge a lot of people have, especially executives, is unplugging from the job. Have you achieved that yet?
I always maintain a very good work-life balance, actually. In the spirit of being honest, I indulge in really nice bar retreats where I just do nothing in some nice area. And I also enjoy travel. And because I've gone so many places, right? By now, my preferred travel is usually fairly exotic, like, you know, Machu Picchu, Cuba, those kind of places are my favorite.
Hopefully soon. You discussed your affinity for, you know, having the advertising budget and pushing forward creative ideas on marketing. So if you yourself were a brand, what would you be similar to?
Actually, I thought about that. It's going to be the brand for my company, actually, Collins. Right. So the brand has been around for 200 years. When I first joined, one of the first things is to hire someone to really refresh the brand. And as we studied, it turns out that the brand is actually all about being true to yourself and being authentic to who you are.
Next question. Answer this statement. My hometown is, and that's important
Hong Kong.
Because?
So Hong Kong is my hometown. It's important because it really shaped me to who I am. It's given me so much opportunities as I was growing up, and I was very, very fortunate to be born in Hong Kong at the time that I did. And also, I think these days, Hong Kong has just been facing unprecedented challenges, and it's really heartbreaking to see what's going on there. But it's really where home is. It has shaped me. I may not be having the role that I'm having now.
Okay. So for the last question, think of your career or your life outside of work.
Yeah.
The biggest risk you've taken, and how has that then affected you?
The most difficult thing that I actually did was I was working in the US, and in fact, I just moved to a different job and just relocated to Chicago. So life was going to start, and then suddenly there was a crisis in the family. And I just decided to unplug everything and just move back. That was risk you take from a career standpoint, but obviously from a personal standpoint, life standpoint, that's a no-brainer that you just have to do that. But in hindsight, if I didn't go back, I wouldn't have joined GE. And then I wouldn't have started this career path that I was having. So you could say that, again, that really shaped my philosophy of why you always need to do what you truly need to do and just work out the things, whatever it may be.